President Muhammadu Buhari declares no hiding place for Nigeria's corrupt elements.
My aim is to ensure that no government financial transaction is done in secret.
Nigeria and the European Union strengthen ties to advance human rights.
Nigeria Police Force seeks collaboration with its Algerian counterpart on overcoming security challenges in the country.
Plateau State government signs memorandum of understanding with 2 companies on National Livestock Transformation Program.
And we'll begin the news with President Muhammadu Buhari, who says with the reform agenda being implemented by his administration and open governance, there will be no hiding place for Nigeria's corrupt elements and indeed the proceeds of the vicious acts of economic sabotage.
Speaking at the passing out parade of detective inspectors of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the president was unequivocal that Nigeria is winning the war against corruption. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
281 detective inspectors found worthy in both character and learning graduated from the 1-year intensive training program on a wide range of EFCC operations. For the first time, President Muhammadu Buhari is reviewing the passing out parade for the EFCC detectives, and these officers are therefore highly honored and motivated to join the nation's anti-corruption warriors. President Muhammadu Buhari expressed Nigeria's great confidence in the ability of the EFCC detectives to not only sustain but accelerate the current level of success attained in the renewed onslaught against corruption.
My aim is to ensure that no government financial transaction is done in secret. Nigeria has been ranked by World Bank as one of the top 10 reforming countries in the world. I assure you that we shall do even better.
The federal government, he said, has made substantial progress in making available to the public data on all contracts across government agencies as part of efforts to enhance the level of transparency in governance and make it difficult for corrupt elements and proceeds of corruption to hide.
It is in line with this commitment that I approve the Assets Tracing, Recovery and Management Regulation 2019. I am determined that the recovered assets are effectively managed with greater impact on fiscal operations of government and social investment policies of this administration. Soon there may be need to introduce a legal framework enforcing reporting of all non-classified public sector operations online. This would facilitate quicker attainment of our goals on open governance and the dismission of corruption in the country.
President Buhari said apart from the quantum of recoveries made and the number of cases successfully prosecuted, the government has also been working assiduously on preventing corruption from taking place through a series of institutional reforms. Acting chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, reassured President Buhari that the commission will not relent in the execution of its mandate until the nation's financial and economic environment become fully sanitized, while confidence and integrity restored in business practices as well as the image of the country for the benefit of all.
EFCC performance will only continue to grow and are more determined than ever before, given your unflinching support to rid Nigeria of corruption. There are no sacred cows anymore. The fight against corruption is a fight that must be won to secure a better future for our generation and the generation yet unborn.
During the ceremony, fifth in its series, 5 graduating detective inspectors who distinguished themselves were rewarded with Agaku, Francis Ikani, carting home the Presidential Award as Best Overall Cadet. President Buhari has since returned to Abuja. Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, the Algerian Police Authority says all its security expertise and experience in fighting terrorism will be deployed to support the Nigerian police force to overcome the security challenges bedeviling the country.
Algerian Police Chief, who doubles as the President Afripol General Assembly, Khalifa Aouzé, said this when he paid a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, in his office. Ilyasu Yaku reports.
The police all over the world are in charge of internal security, and as such, the dynamics of its approach to the security challenges require a high level of professionalism. The Nigerian police has been given its personnel training and retraining from within and outside Nigeria to meet up with the challenges of internal security in the country. This courtesy visit by the Algerian police chief to the IGP provides the platform to synergize on Nigeria's security challenges in fighting terrorism and insurgency. The meeting also deliberated on the forthcoming Africa Police Conference, which will focus on the security challenges in the region.
En Afrique, un peu retard dans ce cadre-là.
The tendency now is to have works together with many countries, and in Africa we have to work more in order to be at this stage.
The IGP is confident that the expertise and experience of Algerian police will no doubt contribute meaningfully to the fight against insurgency and terrorism in Nigeria.
The only way we can collectively defeat terrorists is by uniting together within the continent, and the umbrella that can bring us together to fight terrorists is the APRIFOL.
The meeting later went into closed doors to deliberate on some interventions regarding the security challenges in the region. In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
That was the IG of Police speaking there, Mohammed Adamu, earlier. And to other stories now, the intensified offensive operations of the Nigerian Air Force against terrorist targets in the northeastern region of the country further recorded significant strides with the ongoing Operation Rattlesnake 3, executed by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafayette Dole, destroying a training camp of the Islamic State of West Africa province at Tumbun Zarami on the fringes of the Lake Chad in Borno State. In a statement by the Nigerian Air Force, the mission conducted on the 16th of February 2020 after successive days of intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance missions, as well as intelligence reports from multiple sources, including the Multinational Joint Task Force headquarters. Training activities were being carried out in and around some makeshift structures hidden under the shrubbery within the settlement. Consequently, the ATF detailed its attack aircraft that engaged the training camp 4, scoring accurate hits, which led to the destruction of the suspected camp commander's house, as well as some other structures within the camp.
Meanwhile, Borno State government is to establish civil authority in Abadam local government as soon as the area is declared safe by the military.
And this followed.
Headquarters of Abadam local government is one of the communities in northern Borno overrun by the Boko Haram insurgents, compelling residents to flee for safety in neighboring Niger Republic. The liberated community, now under the control of 64 and 94 battalions of the Nigerian Army, is a ghost town with both private and public structures destroyed. Governor Babagana Umara flew into Malam Fatori, where he assessed damage done to the community and held meeting with the military officials, including the commander, Sector 4 of the Multinational Joint Task Force, and other top military officers, after which he addressed the soldiers, assuring them that the state government will drill boreholes and deploy excavator to dig trenches to fortify the town.
We are here to see things for ourselves. We remain eternally grateful to all of you for all the wonderful job that you have been doing.
Professor Babagana Umaro was received at the border between Nigeria and Niger by the governor of Difa province, Issa Lamin, and other officials, from where he proceeded to Buso. a border community in Niger hosting refugees from Borno as well as Tumur and Garin Wanzam communities. Governor Babagana Umara sympathized with them, assuring that government is working hard to resettle them in their communities as soon as the areas are declared safe. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
Thank you, Yagamsu. And we move over now to the National Assembly, where the Senate on Tuesday confirmed the appointment of Captain Musa Shaibu Nuhu as Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Tuesday's plenary took off behind closed doors, with issues bordering on the workings of the National Assembly in focus. 1 hour later, the doors were opened and legislative business of the day commenced. The report of the appointment of Captain Musa Shaibu Nuhu as Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority was the first order of the day considered. Chairman Senate Committee on Aviation, Senator Smart Adeyemi, presented the report.
That the nominee has requisite experience, that he possesses relevant academic and professional qualification, and that there was no petition against his nomination.
The nomination of Captain Musa Shaibu Nuhu is hereby confirmed as Director General of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA.
The Federal College of Forestry Technology and Research, Birnin-Gwari, Kaduna State, sponsored by Senator Obasani, Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukbo, Benue State, by Senator Abba Moro, and Federal University of Medicine and Medical Sciences, Abeokuta, Ogun State, sponsored by Senator Ibukunle Amosun, where the three higher institutions establishment bills passed through second reading.
To improve on those disciplines and develop new ones, as well as to contribute to the scientific transformation of medical and other health practices in Nigeria.
We need professionals to be trained that will be spread all over the country that will attend to people that will need medical attention.
Thereafter, leadership of the Senate held an emergency security meeting with National Assembly management and heads of security agencies over concerns of security threats to the National Assembly raised by the National Assembly management.
We want to secure the environment with the necessary security gadgets and technologies to ensure that our parliament is like other parliaments in other climes, where if you have no business in the parliament, you cannot go in.
President of the Senate, however, explained that as the assembly of the Nigerian people, persons with legitimate business will not be prohibited from entering the complex. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
All right, meanwhile, Ignatius Nkwo is standing by for what to expect at plenary this Wednesday. Ignatius, can you give us an idea of what you have right there on the order paper for today? And of course, you go further to tell us what is the mood of some members of the National Assembly, as it concerns the security situation over there.
Thank you, Studio. Well, you know, yesterday the issue of security challenge was quite top in both chambers of the National Assembly, both Senate and House of Representatives. Like the last report just revealed, that security threat raised by management of the National Assembly led to an emergency security meeting between leaders of the Senate, the management of National Assembly, and top security agencies. And now the issue is the fact that the President of the Senate raised salient issues, that the kind of movement and free entrance into the precinct of the National Assembly, it's not what it's supposed to be. He even drew an analogy between some global parliament and Nigerian parliament, and he now went further to advise them to strengthen security in, around, and within the precinct of the National Assembly. And then we expect that, those issues, steps to be taken to ensure that there's adequate security in the National Assembly. Well, we don't expect it to start overnight. But I want to tell you that this morning, there are some visible, amendments and measures taken by those security agencies on ground in the National Assembly. Like from the gate, from the entrance of the gate, found out there's a little bit more security checks, unlike before. Right where I'm standing here, the lobby of the National Assembly, usually you come in here, you see crowd. Most times, to be candid, there might not be people who have one or two serious business within the National Assembly, but you see quite a number of people loitering, see pockets of people standing at the lobby. But I'm telling you, this morning it's not like that. So we believe these are some of the outcome of the meeting that the President of the Senate had yesterday with these top security agencies. And then, well, we expect that today, the Senate itself has listed some items for consideration. And I think prominent among them, there are 4 constitutional amendment bills. Those bills will be coming for first reading. And you know that after the first reading, it will be scheduled for second reading. Then it will go for public hearing. And we know that the Senate has inaugurated its Constitutional Review Committee, which is working at the moment. But then what we expect that by the time these bills pass first reading, it comes for second reading, then to be referred to that ad hoc committee who will now aggregate all constitutional-related issues. All bills that will be coming to the Senate for amendment. It's expected that those constitutions will be referred to that committee. So we expect that by the time these 4 bills pass first reading, we now expect it that by the time it passes second reading, that committee will now take charge of it. And then we also know that today there are some issues that will come as matter of urgent public importance. Those are they are sine qua non in Parliament. We call them urgent issues of public importance because nobody planned for some of these issues. So some of those issues might not be on the order paper, but they will be considered. Like the order of the Senate provides, Order 42 says if there are issues that comes as matter of urgent public importance, it will be announced on the floor by the senator who wants to move that motion. But then it will be taken the next legislative day. But there's another section of the standing order that says, Order 52 says, if it is too important that it must be taken that day, now with the leave of the Senate, 1/5 of the Senate will take a resolution that motion should be taken that day. So we expect some of these motions to come up today. Well, if it's a matter of security or anything, in the last few weeks, we'll be having matters of urgent public importance bordering on security. And then, well, today we expect that there are 1 or 2 visitors into the National Assembly as the House of Representatives will be launching its Green Chamber magazine, the first of its kind. So we expect that there will be quite some movement too as well from visitors' gates. Some of the guests have been coming in. They are there at the arcade. When you're entering from the National Assembly, before you come into the lobby, that is where that particular launch is going to take place.
All right, thank you very much, Ignatius. We do expect to get more updates from you as time goes on. We've been speaking with our National Assembly correspondent, Ignatius Nkwo. Now, this news broadcast is live on the network service of the NTA. Still to come. Nigeria and the European Union strengthen ties to advance human rights.
Registering 31 political parties. Details of these are more shortly.
This NTA News 24. Where are we going? From Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times Channel 101, Free TV Channel 703, GSTV Channel 419, and Go TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles: Twitter at NTA News 24, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24.
News and more news.
Thanks for joining us. We're still staying with the National Assembly as the House of Representatives has called for seriousness on the part of regulators in the aviation industry following recent diversions of international flights scheduled for landing at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos to neighboring countries. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
A major challenge, as enumerated by lawmakers during debate on the matter, was that the instrument landing system installed at the airport was not fully utilized, which is why such situations arise. The House therefore called for investigation towards finding solutions in view of the losses incurred.
The case where somebody else, in fact, they're trying to save your life, and they now divert to another airport, due to the negligence, assuming that is the case, that is the negligence of another agency. They cannot pay for the negligence of another agency. They can't.
The practice in the aviation industry is such that when the consequence of your action will have to be borne, If the reason for the diversion is caused by FAN or the NAMA because of the instrument landing system, first the passengers would have to go to Ghana or to Abuja. They can't meet any FAN or NAMA there.
There's an infraction by the agency in diverting this thing because they did not do what they're supposed to. That's the point you're trying to make.
The House also adopted a motion on the need to overhaul and intensify security at the National Assembly following intelligence said to have emanated from management that terrorists are planning to carry out an attack on the National Assembly. 2 amendment bills on the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding and the Federal University of Petroleum Resources went through second reading. Plenary went into closed door to discuss the issue of security at the National Assembly and other matters of concern. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Away from the legislature, Nigeria and the European Union are strengthening ties to advance human rights as well as respond to humanitarian situations as a result of violent conflicts.
And this was the thrust of a meeting between Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, Geoffrey Onyama, and the European Union delegation in Abuja. Usman Aliyu reports.
The European Union says it is deeply concerned that more than 7 million Nigerians are devastated by Boko Haram in the last 10 years, and that the situation has been denying the people some rights, particularly the children, access to education. The EU also share concern over developments in election disputes, urging for strengthening of the justice systems.
You've all heard the President establishing his very ambition, but of course it's a daunting task looking at the number of children out of school.
It's always good for us as a government to hold ourselves up to the highest standards in the area of human rights. As a government, we absolutely have an obligation and a desire to respect and promote the human rights of Nigerians. And, peer reviewing it is a very good way of doing that with the Europeans, but also even within the framework of the African Union.
This is the 5th time the delegation of the EU and that of the federal government meet on strategies on improving ties with regard to improvement on human rights development. In Abuja, Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
And to other stories, the federal government has reiterated its commitments in ensuring that nothing is left to chance in preventing the deadly coronavirus, codenamed COVID-19, from getting into Nigeria.
This is the submission of some cabinet members who visited the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport for an on-the-spot assessment of facilities put in place for early detection of the virus among incoming passengers into the country at the airport. Anthony Fosun reports.
As part of measures put in place to effectively monitor incoming passengers into the country, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria is collaborating with Port Health Services and other agencies such as NAMA, hospitals, immigration, customs, airline operators, ground handlers, among others. This is deliberately put in place to ensure entry screening, early case recognition, and continued preparedness and response with conducive holding areas, as well as adequate secondary screening areas. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika says airport officials are on red alert.
As the airport operator, FAN is monitoring the international situation on the evolving global outbreak of COVID-19 and implementing other supportive preventive activities to improve symptom awareness of the disease among travelers and airport workers, then improve environmental and personal hygiene within the airport and its host community.
While his information and culture counterpart, Lai Mohammed, maintained that the federal government has designed a robust enlightenment and an awareness strategy
to ensure that enough information is given to Nigerians. We've deployed all our platforms to sensitize Nigeria on what this virus is about and what we need to prevent it.
With the measures put in place being complied with, newsmen who accompanied the ministers witnessed the screening of passengers on board this Ethiopian airline. For those who had no proof of having a yellow card, they were immediately isolated and administered with the yellow fever vaccine.
We will not exempt anybody. Any passenger that comes through here does not have the yellow card, yellow fever card, we will give him a shot for free, and then you pay his 2,000 naira and collect his card later on in town.
The other thing is visual, that is observation. You observe the port health people on the airport. They will observe the person, just on their own. Because when somebody is ill, just by the visual observation, you can know if somebody who's not really working well, or when somebody looks sick.
For us in the ministry, we're saddled with the responsibility of giving protection to vulnerable citizens, as I mentioned. If people are affected, we have to come in to see how we can support them after the health workers must have done their own bit.
The ministers took time to go around the arrival section of the airport to ascertain the functionality of sanitizers and other such disinfectants. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is strengthening partnership with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on heightening response to manage detected diseases in Nigeria and standing by for any possible outbreak.
And this topped the agenda at a meeting between the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Hadia Umar Farouk, and top management of the agency of the NCDC headquarters, Abuja. Olushe Adeagbo has details.
The recent outbreak of coronavirus disease in some Asian countries and the speed at which it's spreading to other continents has given the world a cause for concern. A recent case reported in Egypt has put Nigeria on a high alert, prompting a high-powered delegation to swing into action to ensuring that no stone is left unturned to preventing this deadly virus from ravaging the country. And
here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, as we bring to you the unveiling of the Green Chamber magazine and official lapel pin of the House of Representatives. I am Lani Ali. The program has already commenced.
Excellency, Distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan, PhD, CON, President of the Senate and Chairman of the National Assembly, ably represented here by His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Ovie Omoagege, the Deputy President of the Senate. The Chief Convener of this event, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, very visionary and ebullient. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Idris Ahmed Wase, Principal Officers of the House of Representatives, Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Honorable Members, Representative of Kaduna Governor, Hajia Hadiza Muazu, Honorable Ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria here present, our keynote speakers, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, just coming in, and Professor Magnus Paco, the former Special Assistant Advisor to the President on Economic Affairs. Permit me to also announce, leading the management of the National Assembly to this event, is the clerk to the National Assembly, Alhaji Mohammed Ataba Sani Omolori, Chiroman Ibira, the clerk to the National Assembly, heads of ministries, departments and agencies of government here present, invited guests, members of the fourth estate of the realm, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome all of you this morning to this event, which is the unveiling of the Green Chamber magazine and an official lapel pin of the House of Representatives. This morning, I dare to say that nobody else can tell your stories as much as you can. And so, the vision of the Speaker of the House of Representatives is that the Green Chamber should be able to tell their stories themselves, such that Nigerians, whatever misconceptions they've ever had, will begin to take the back seat. And that is the essence of this gathering this morning, to also invite all distinguished guests and our friends from NDDC, from the United Bank for Africa, and as well as Max Air, to come and witness the official unveiling of the Green Chamber magazine, an official lapel of the House of Representatives. For this vision and the doggedness and the perseverance and the commitment shown by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and he deserves a very big round of applause. Can we celebrate the Speaker, please, with a big round of applause? I beg to say that that applause is not loud enough for what we are about to unveil this morning for the Speaker. I thank you very much. I'm not working alone this morning. I'm working with a sister, a friend, and an associate. My name is Andy Gabriel.
Thank you very much. My name is Naomi Oboy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being in this place this morning to witness this history that's about to be made. For the very first time in Nigeria, the National Assembly has decided to take it upon itself to tell its own story, and we're all here this morning to witness what is about to happen, which is the unveiling of the official magazine of the Federal House of Representatives, the Green Chamber magazine. Thank you all very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for finding time out of your busy schedules to be in this place to witness this event this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And without much ado, I welcome you. First of all, let me recognize the presence of a Director General, National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari. We welcome you very much for coming, and thank you very much for coming as well.
And also this morning, I'd like to very specially welcome and recognize the presence of a distinguished personality here in our midst this morning. We have here with us the Minister, the Honorable Minister, Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. We have here in this place representing him this morning, his Special Assistant, Abdullahi Atta. Abdullahi, thank you so much for being here representing the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Representative, it is on this note that we want to get these events started in earnest. But in starting this program, permit me to introduce to you our keynote speakers this morning. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba is a man who needs no introduction in the African continent and in so very many other continents of the world. A man who has been everywhere speaking against corruption, and one voice that you must hear this morning at this event. I'd like us to please welcome Professor P.L.O. Lumumba. Can you just stand up for recognition, please? We also welcome another great TV hosts, GVA, former special advisor to the President of Nigeria on Economic Affairs and former Director General of Poverty Eradication Program. Please let's welcome Professor Magnus Pakol. A round of applause for him, please. Having done these recognitions, would like to quickly step into the program proper. We welcome you, Honorable Minister for Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, ably represented here by Mrs. Nadia Mohammed Soso. We welcome you very specially. Your Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, ably represented. We may be able to then invite the man who has been through this all with the very kind permission of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, driving this dream to this logical point where we're about to unveil the dream. Ladies and gentlemen, to do this welcome and most formally welcome all of you to this event, Please join me as I welcome to the podium the Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. Let's please welcome him with a resounding applause for his remarks.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Minister of Information, our own famous Lai Mohammed, the Senate President, ably represented by the Deputy Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Chairman of the occasion, State Governors, ably represented here, the Clerk of the National Assembly, members of the National Assembly, ministers and members of the Federal Executive, captains of industry, the press, of self-reliance. One of the most remarkable essays of the 19th century. Philosopher Ralph Emerson argued, "It is so bad to be misunderstood." Pythagoras was misunderstood. And Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. Permit me to ask you to open your programs. You will see a little leaflet there. That is my address. Beautiful as the postulation sounds, we cannot afford the luxury of such romanticism, if not for the fact that half of those great people met their untimely end at the very hands of those who misunderstood them. Then for the fact that as elected representatives, the eyes and the ears of the common man and the closest arm of government to the grassroots, we remain directly accountable to Nigerians for the workings, successes, and failures of government. We cannot afford to be misunderstood. The 9th House of Representatives was inaugurated at a time when the image of the Parliament needed an overhaul. Several misconceptions about its operations, duties, and achievements abounded in the public domain, propagated by mischief makers and fueled by commercialized news reportage, as well as acute ignorance of the workings of the legislature. The legislature was expected to exist in perpetual acrimony with the executive by the very same people who stood to be disadvantaged by such discordant governments. Nigerians were conditioned to embrace the National Assembly with the same terms of reference as they would the executive, without regard to the distinctive nature of legislative duties under the 1999 Constitution, thereby engendering a deep-seated skepticism about the legislature's commitment to national development. In view of these image challenges, the 9th House, under the leadership of the Speaker, Rep. Femi Gbajabiamila, committed to a transparent and demystified House in its legislative agenda. In political studies, we are taught that transparency, an important concept in a democratic republic, is of two forms: reactive disclosure, as the Freedom of Information Act envisages, and more importantly, proactive disclosure, which is what we have accomplished today with the Great Chamber magazine. We have chosen this proactive route as a clear demonstration to Nigerians and the international community of our commitment to the highest standards of accountability to our constituents. This publication marks the first of such effort by the House of Representatives in the history of Nigerian democracy, and we are proud of it. As a tool of transparency, the Green Chamber magazine will report all activities of the House including the progress of deliberated bills, motions, and petitions. It will also publish articles and opinions of civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, and various other stakeholders in legislative affairs, ensuring that Nigerians become real partners in our democracy and progress. As a tool of accountability, it will report any form of corruption and inefficiency in the executive, which are exposed by the House in furtherance of our constitutional duty of oversight, enshrined in Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This masterpiece did not come without great sacrifice, and therefore I thank everyone who contributed to the successful production of the maiden edition of the Green Chamber magazine. My profound gratitude goes to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, whose support was palpable and evident in his actions throughout the production of this magazine. I also thank the Deputy Speaker, Representative Ahmed Idris Wase, and the leadership of the House for their support. I especially want to thank all the members of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs for validating the confidence reposed in us by the Speaker when he handpicked us to do the work of promoting the image of the House. I will be remiss if I miss to acknowledge the consultant to the Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Ms. Love Idoko, and her organization, Dream Pointer Limited, for the excellence and tireless effort to ensure the success of the magazine and this event. My gratitude also goes to our first advertisers for partnering with us in this mission for transparency, and to the writers and editorial team for their brilliant contributions. Finally, it was Mayor Angelou who once said, "There is no greater agony than hearing an untold story inside you." By this magazine, we venture to tell our stories ourselves, so that in judging us, posterity may observe the principle of natural justice. Ode oteram patem. Let both parties be heard. Thank you for listening and enjoy the program. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Honorable Minister for Information and Culture, the Chief Convener of this event, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Chairman of the occasion, the representative of the President of the Senate. Permit me to announce very quickly the arrival of a man who is very familiar with this terrain. This has always been his constituency, but he's now in an executive portfolio as a governor of Imo State. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, the executive governor of Imo State, to this event, please. Can we welcome him with a round of applause? Thank you very much for coming. I'll run through these recognitions very quickly because time is of the essence. We welcome the Speaker, Borno State House of Assembly. We welcome the Speaker, Edo State House of Assembly. We also welcome the representative of the Executive Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, ably represented here by Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho. We welcome you. Thank you very much for coming. We also welcome you, the representative of the Honorable Minister for Works. We welcome Mr. Babatunde Fashola, ably represented here by Dr. Famous Eseduo. We also want to welcome Malam Bashir Mohammed MNI, Director of Human Resource Management, representing and standing in for the Minister of State, FCT, Dr. Ramatu Tijani Aliyu, at this material time. Having done that, the special guest of honor, sir, there is an information I want to pass to you. Looking at our program brochure, you will see that it is actually time for goodwill messages. But we must take into cognizance the flight time for one of our speakers.
And so we would like to please quickly plead with Your Excellency for your kind understanding as we amend this program to be able to accommodate this prolific writer, author, and speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about none other than Professor P.L.O. Lumumba. He is the director Kenya Law School at this material time, and he has been one whose voice has been very strong against corruption in Africa. And of course, he is one who is also championing Africans doing things the African way to be able to emancipate the African people. And it is in the light of that, without much ado, that I'd like to welcome Professor P.L.O. Lumumba for his presentation very quickly. If your hands are not very busy, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please give him a very resounding and a deserving applause.
Let me start by adopting the method that has been made famous by Nigeria, by adopting the protocols already established. But even as I do so, it would be remiss on my part not to acknowledge that His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, is represented here by the Minister for Information. It would equally be improper for me not to appreciate that the President of the Senate is also equally represented. It would equally be improper for me not to appreciate that there are governors here present drawn from the different states of Nigeria, and that there are senators, and that there are members of the House of Representatives, and that there is the chair of the Public Affairs and Media Committee, the Honorable Benjamin Kalu, and very lastly, that the host of this program, the Honorable Femi Biamila, is present in this assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say how humbled I am to be allowed to address this august assembly on this auspicious occasion of the launch of the Green Chamber magazine. I've had the advantage of flipping through the inaugural issue, which will be launched shortly and which will be distributed shortly. What it begs is why such a magazine should be launched at this time in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When you have occasion to read the magazine, you will see that the Honorable Bajabiamila goes down deep in history in 1961 and reminds us of the word that was spoken by an American president, which he appropriately says have now been cliched. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I say that because today we live in a continent where many people misunderstand the role and function of legislators. We live in a continent where legislators are measured by the number of funerals that they attend, where the efficacy of legislators is measured by the number of weddings they attend, where their significance is measured by the number of men and women that they support on the day of their weddings. And therefore we live in a continent where the legislator is misunderstood. We live in a continent where our legislators are not called and expected to perform their traditional functions. And that is why the launch of a magazine such as this speaks to the demands of a nation such as Nigeria, and I dare say many African countries. I cannot remember, but I know that there is an African saying that as long as lions do not have their historians, it is the exploit of the hunter rather than the bravery of the lion that will be talked about. Today, you have decided to tell your own story that you may not be misunderstood. You know, when in the 1960s there was an explosion of independence, we were handed down, and in many ways, many institutions were imposed on us. We were told that African countries, having regained their independence, had to embrace democracy. And we were told, borrowing once again from the definition of other civilization, that democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And we were told at the time of regaining our independence that we would have representative democracy. We were told then that you, honorable members of the House of Representatives, represented us. We were told then that you are our servants. And for a long time, we believed that you are our servants. But over the years, things did change. And we started believing that you are no longer our servants, and that you had become our masters, and that therefore, even when you claim to represent us in many African countries, and you remind us that you are our servants, we do not believe you, because it is the newspapers that are left to say what you say. Because it is the televisions and the newscasters that are told and are allowed in their jaundiced way to tell us what you represent. It gladdens my heart that in Nigeria, through the efforts of Honorable Biamila, you have taken the decision to renew your contract with the people of Nigeria. You have decided to create, or if you may, to recreate the umbilical cord that will link you with the people of Nigeria. Because in Nigeria, as in many countries, people are asking, why is it that the things that we expected of our leaders have not been delivered? When you listen to Nigerians, both here and abroad, they are asking of their legislators, what are you doing? They are asking of their legislators, where are the promises that you made to us when we regained our independence? And the only way to answer them is through the medium of a publication such as this, so that the information that they receive is information that is not mediated. Nigerians, both here and abroad, are asking, you legislators who are our representatives, what have you done over the years? They are asking, when we regained our independence, you promised that there would be no unemployment. And they are asking, what have you done about unemployment? What have you done about appropriate legislation in that area? You may have done something about it, but they do not know because you never told them. They are asking, what did you do about education? You promised that we would have free education. You may have said something about it in the many pieces of legislation that you have enacted, but they do not know, because the little that they hear is through the newspapers, whose memories are sometimes selective and jaundiced in order to paint a picture which is so not very rosy. They are asking, you promised that you would provide us with free health, and perhaps you may have enacted legislation, but they do not know, because what they hear are hospitals that are not functioning as they should. But this time round, through the magazine that will be launched shortly, you'll be able in an unmediated way to tell them what it is that they have done. They are asking, what have you done about the extractive industry? And they cannot understand what it is that they have done. But I hope and pray that through this magazine, you will be able to speak to them directly. Nigerians, both home and abroad, are asking, in the year 2090, you had a Vision 2020, and you promised that Nigeria would be one of the 20 largest economies in the world and one of the most influential nations on earth. They are asking, what have you done through legislation to ensure that Vision 2020 is realized? They are possibly asking, is it another mirage? Through this publication, you'll be able to tell them what it is that you have done. The Nigerians, both home and abroad, may be asking that last year, in the year 2019, you promised that you'd have a new currency. They are asking, that currency that you promised them in 2020, is it coming? And if it is coming, what is the legislation that you've put together to ensure that that currency is alive and well? Perhaps you have done something about it, but Nigerians do not know. We are here and we know that Nigeria is a good citizen of the world. They know, Nigerians, young and old, that Nigeria was present in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, when we came up with Agenda 2063, and they are asking us, big brother Nigeria, what it is that you are doing in order to ensure that Agenda 2063 is realized. Perhaps you have done something about it in your legislation, but we do not know. But I hope that through this magazine, you'll be able to speak to Nigeria directly in a manner that is unmediated. Nigerians, both home and abroad, are asking that there is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area with the secretariats in Ghana. They are asking, what is the piece of legislation that you have enacted to ensure that that is realized? Perhaps you have done something about it, but they do not know. But I hope that through this magazine, that ghost of ignorance, which has not allowed Nigeria to appreciate and to embrace their leaders, will now be exercised. I hope that that ghost will be consigned to Jehannam so that it will not rise again, so that going forward Nigerians will understand their leaders for who they are. I remember as a young man, I read a book that was written in 1955. That book was written by an African-American, Carter G. Woodson. That book was entitled Miseducation of the Negro. And in that book, Carter G. Woodson poses the question, who is a leader? He poses the question, is a leader one who has monopoly of wisdom and knowledge? Is a leader one who knows everything? But he answers that rhetorical question in this way. He says he or she is a leader, not necessarily because he knows more than the people he leads, but because he's brave enough to offer himself or herself. He is a leader, not because the people whom he leads are walking on the ground and he or she is riding a horse. No, he is a leader because he is ready to go to the front. He is a leader because he or she is prepared to deny himself for the general good. How do I understand the Green Magazine? I understand the Green Magazine initiated by the Honorable Femi Bajabiamila as a document which is designed and dedicated to tell Nigerians that the time has come for your leaders to walk together with you, not because they are better than you, but because they have the honor and privilege of serving you. I understand that magazine to be telling Nigerians that if we had erred by denying you the information that you need, the time is now that we are going to walk with you. I understand that magazine to be telling Nigerians that we recognize that we may not perform as we ought to have performed, but going forward we are going to work with you. I understand that magazine to be saying that if we have starved you of information, we are going to ensure that you no longer starve of information. I understand that magazine to be a medium where the leaders of the House of Representatives in Nigeria are going to tell Nigerians that we may have erred when you gave us the honor and privilege of serving you, but we are going to be transparent and accountable. We are going to work with you. I understand that magazine to be saying that we are going to ensure that Nigerians walk with their leaders in the path of ensuring that Nigeria realizes our potential. You know, in my younger days, as a student of history, when I used to read about Nigeria, there are names that came to my mind. And as I grew older, whether they performed as you expected them to perform, I read your great founding leaders. I read the works of Nnamdi Azikiwe, and I listened to him in those early days. He was as eloquent as he was passionate in telling Nigerians and Africans, because he was called the Zik of Africa, that leadership is about service. This magazine is an occasion for you to demonstrate to Africa that you are servant leaders. And I did not only read about Nnamdi Azikiwe, I also read about Abubakar Sir Tafawa Balewa. In his younger days, eloquent and passionate about Nigeria. You may not have agreed with all that he said and did, but you cannot deny the fact, the clarity of vision and the need for marshalling the people as the only antidote to the problems that have afflicted Nigeria and by extension Africa. And I did not stop at merely listening to Tafawa Balewa. I also had the occasion of listening to the Sultan of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello. Whether you liked him or not, the clarity and the passion with which he spoke about his country was as telling as it was titillating. You are the successors of those great leaders. The question that you must ask yourself, and this is a personal question, now that you have been given the honor and privilege of serving Nigeria, now that Nigerians and Africans refer you to as honorable members, the question is, are you honorable members or horrible members? Because the question as to whether you are honorable is determined by the service that you render to the people. When we read the Green Chamber magazine, we want to see the works that you have done, and we want to see honorable members, not horrible members. Now that Nigerians have given you the opportunity to think for them, to imagine for them, when it is reported in the Green Chamber magazine and we talk of Nigeria as being a great country, the question is, and we will be asking you, are you midwives for the good things of Nigeria? Are you midwives that deliver bouncing baby boys and girls, or you are midwives that kill the children in the cradle? Nigerians will be asking those painful questions which are necessary but uncomfortable. Nigerians will be asking, are you creating a country which will be the great country that it ought to be? These are the questions that Nigeria are asking for. But I am acutely aware, even as I speak to you, that there is no shortage of words that will be spoken. Today I only speak to your minds and hearts in the hope that what we say on the day of the occasion of the launch of the Green Chamber magazine will be the mother's milk that will drive you to do that which is good and that which is in the interest of the great nation of Nigeria. It was your great son, the late Chinua Achebe, who in 1983, writing his little book, The Trouble with Nigeria, said, and permit me to quote him, that the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a problem of leadership. Today you are the leaders. I am asking you, as you said, if you are governor, and permit me to congratulate the governor of Imo, and permit me to congratulate other governors who are here present, and permit me to congratulate the senators here present, and permit me to congratulate the Senate representatives here present, and the House of Representatives. Even as I am congratulating you, ask yourself, do you deserve to be congratulated? Because my congratulations are only useful if you are servants of Nigeria. I have no doubt in my mind, as I sit here and as I stand here, I'm looking at your faces. I'm not a mind reader, and I'm acutely aware that Shakespeare was right when he said that the face sometimes is the mask of the mind rather than the mirror of it. And I'm also acutely aware that he said that a man's state of mind is as much a fact as the state of his digestion. I therefore hold the view that the faces that I see here are faces whose desire is to see Nigeria great. The faces that I see here are faces that are determined to ensure that Nigeria occupies a pride of place amongst the Committee of Nations. Nigeria has been becoming great for too long. The time is now that Nigeria must be great, in fact. You will know that in the next few years, Nigeria will produce 1 in every 5 of Africans. When I travel to different parts of the world and you travel to different parts of the world, if you do not meet a Nigerian doctor who is at the best in the world, you meet a Nigerian astronaut who is at the best in the world, you meet a Nigerian banker who is at the best in the world, you meet a Nigerian who is as good as anybody in the world, there is no problem with Nigerians. In fact, there are those who say that if you go to any part of the world and you do not meet a Nigerian, run away from that place because that place is not worthy of visiting. Nigeria is a great country, and I have no doubt in my mind that we can make her great. When I hear Nigeria saying that our GDP is only $450 billion, I'm not impressed. And indeed, I remember that a Nigerian son who is now the director of the African Development Bank, Adeshina, said that people do not eat GDPs, and I agree with him. GDPs are not edible. But I hold the view that Nigeria should be in the same space economically as Germany is. Nigeria should be in the same space politically as the United States is. So as I conclude, because conclude I must, what do I see on the occasion of the launch of this magazine? The Honorable Femi Bajabiamila. History now sits on your laps. In my ethnic group, we have a saying that when cows deliver during the period when you are the cow herd, you are blessed of God. This calf called the Green Chamber magazine has been delivered during your watch. History will celebrate you. But history will also remember that you are not alone in this process of delivery. History will remember that there were others with you. History will remember that there was teamwork. History will remember also that Africa is also in the business of launching things. And after they have launched them, they are dead on arrival. I look forward to this magazine remaining alive for all times. I look forward to a Nigeria whose House of Representatives will be celebrated for the legislation that they enact, because I am now in a Nigeria which is one of the youngest nations in Africa and in the world. And young Nigerians are now asking of their legislators, how will you enact legislation that will help us to innovate and invent? I look forward to the next episode of the next series of the magazine, demonstrating that there are legislators who are concerned about innovation. I look forward to the day when young Nigerians who are impatient for employment will be looking at the magazine, and they'll be able to read the names of legislators who are famous for the pieces of legislation that they proposed and enacted under the extractive industry. I look forward to the day when Nigeria will have reawakened her agriculture, and that legislation will be produced and publicized in the magazine which speaks to agriculture. I know Nigeria can be great. I know Nigeria will be great. But Nigeria can be great and will only be great if you men and women seated here choose that Nigeria will be great. I look forward to the day, therefore, when the gods of success will smile upon Nigeria and said, behold, you great Nigeria. You Nigeria of whom God blessed with legislators. You Nigeria who during the watch of President Muhammadu Buhari and during the speakership of Femi Bajabiamila, you Nigeria are now great. You Nigeria are now great because your sons and daughters are not running away from you, but are home coming to you. You Nigeria are great because your young men and women now see opportunities. If they don't see them in Zaria, they see them in Imo. If they don't see them in Imo, they see them in Zamfara. If they don't see them in Zamfara, they see them in Anambra. I look forward to that Nigeria, and I know that Nigeria is possible. God bless you.
Another resounding applause for Professor Luck Otieno Lumumba. Is a Kenyan who has served as director of Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission from 2010 to August 2011. And since 2014, Professor Lumumba is the director of Kenya Law of Schools, an eloquent lawyer, and Lumumba holds PhD in Laws of the Sea from the University of Ghent in Belgium. I'd like us to please give him another round of applause. I thank you very much. Your Excellency, the representative of the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the representative of his President of the Senate, the chief convener of this event, Right Honorable Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, Your Excellency, the chairman of the occasion, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, and the governor of Imo State, Governor of Kaduna State, also ably represented here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In moving on, I'd like to, at this juncture, crave on your indulgence and also to apologize to the distinguished chairman of the occasion that we needed to do that because Professor Lumumba has a flight to catch. Please bear with us, sir. Having accepted my apologies, may I, at this juncture, invite to the podium the distinguished chairman of the occasion, a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Executive Governor of Katsina State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari to the podium for his remarks. The distinguished chairman, sir, Your Excellency.
The special guest of honor, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by Honorable Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Senate President, ably being represented by the Deputy Senate President, our host and convener, the Speaker, House of Representatives, the Executive Governor of Imo State, the Deputy Speaker, distinguished senators, honorable members, honorable ministers and their representatives, the Clerk of the National Assembly, other invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Actually, I have completely been, what would I say, after listening to the guest speaker who has done everything. So virtually as the chairman of the occasion, I have very little to say or even to introduce to the table for the speakers to comment on. But he mentioned one important thing, that you have to tell your own story. That the National Assembly is greatly misunderstood. At the same time, we need to ask ourselves, what is our contribution to the misunderstanding of the National Assembly and the legislature? You know, in politics, perception is very important. What is the perception we have created in the minds of the people? He spoke about leadership. Have we provided leadership? We need to ask ourselves, really, outside there, we are grossly misunderstood. Like he said, we are not measured by the contributions we made in the National Assembly. We are only measured by what we have been able to do at naming ceremonies, burials, weddings, and other social activities, which really is not what we are elected for. And again, people again expect legislators to perform functions of executive. The best a legislator can do is to subsume his interest within the national interest, if he's a national legislator, or a state legislator within the state interest, to have some projects to the communities that he represents. But people ask you to come and, as a legislator, come and do classroom, come and build. You don't, it's not your job. Don't even give the impression that you will do that, that you can do that. Yours is to make laws, provide representation. And please, I'm happy that some of my classmates are still around, including the current speaker. He was a classmate of mine, even though he came 4 years after me, from 2003 to 2007. We had this problem of creating the right impression in the minds of people. I think the National Assembly or legislature generally, we are grossly misunderstood, but actually sometimes we created the problem ourselves. So I hope with the lecture from the lead lecturer about leadership, that is the bane of this country. We are not talking about the big men. Even here we have so many big men. Nigeria has never been short of big men. States have never been short of big men. Even local governments have never been short of big men. But we have shortage of leaders. So I hope this green magazine will help in further educating the general public about the roles of parliamentarians generally. What is expected of them and what are they doing and what they are doing. So it's very important for us to get it right. In future, we may get even additional publications. So I hope members will make the magazine alive by contributing. Because there are a lot of writers, highly experienced, educated men and women in the legislature that can make meaningful contributions in the magazine. It's not only about publishing bills, motions, no, contributing on subject matters of national interest. It will further expose the kind of legislators we have. Because some people outside there look at politicians as people who don't know anything, or people who come to just make money, ride flashy cars, build fantastic houses, as if we have no ideas. We have. Politics is being populated by experienced, hardworking, intelligent, well-educated people today, like in any other field. So please, rise up to the occasion. There is an opportunity, so rise up to it. Mr. President, ably represented, I think I should stop here and say thank you and thank the leadership of the House for inviting me to come and chair this very important occasion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together better as we appreciate Executive Governor of Katsina State. Thank you so much. Thank you. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. And now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're moving very fast with our event this morning. And right now, we're about to do something very, very specific and important. And just in case, I know a lot of us in this place, we already know that we're in this place to officially witness the unveiling of the Green Chamber magazine. And this morning, before we get into the official unveiling of this magazine, we have something really beautiful and something really special for you to see. So I'd like you all to watch the screen at this point. The Honorable Speaker and, of course, some members of the House of Representatives have something special to say to you in just a few minutes. Thank you all very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
First and foremost, to congratulate the Speaker of the Ninth Assembly for this wonderful initiative, the Chairman of House Committee on Media, Ben Kalu, the Orator, and the entire members of the Ninth Assembly.
The Green Chamber is an idea whose time has come. It's a repository of information, knowledge, and indeed a data bank of available facts needed about the House of Representatives.
I'm impressed
with this work by the Committee on Media and Public Affairs of the House through the instrumentality of the Right Honorable Speaker and leadership.
The first impression when you see this magazine, first you have to commend the initiator of this magazine, the chairman, House Committee on Media, and then the consultant of this magazine, Lord Idoko.
The Green Chamber magazine was bet as a strategic tool for the 9th House of Representatives to achieve a key component of its legislative agenda, which is opening the legislative process to effective citizen and stakeholder participation, thereby correcting the wrongful perception of the legislature through transparency and accountability. It is the official mouthpiece and in-house magazine of the 9th House of Representatives, a bi-monthly magazine which will serve as a direct source of information for media houses, MDAs, relevant stakeholders, and the general public on the activities and programs of the 9th House of Representatives.
The truth about the matter is that if you look at it critically, the idea of this magazine is lovely, I must confess.
This magazine will go places in the next few years because a lot of members have the opportunity to tell the world, to tell their various constituencies what their achievements are in the assembly and then their achievements at their various constituencies.
To tell the world what we really are about in the Green Chamber. To tell the world our side of the story. For that, I thank everyone that has been involved with this publication.
It is going to open up a lot of things to we the masses so that we will understand what goes on there.
It's an idea that is long overdue. From the content to the form to the design to everything about it, it's something worthwhile, and it's a project that actually falls in line with the vision of this 9th House of Representatives, which is to be as transparent as every democratic institution should be.
Having a magazine of our own, telling our own story, this shows that whoever come across messages or any information contained therein in any of our edition, it shows that it is directly from the horse's mouth.
Parliamentary unions and all of that will look at this. The universities, students, and those lovers of the parliament, lawmakers everywhere, those interested in policy and laws of Nigeria, of course, will be interested in the Green Chamber.
This is one of the initiatives that will carry that agenda further, make the institution more transparent, and remove every opacity from the operations and the conduct of the House. And this is something I think everyone should queue behind.
We are only seeing the project, but we are not seeing the project. If you want to see the project, it has to start from the grassroots. What I mean by that is all the constituency projects, all this money are meant for. If we can be able to see them at the grassroots level, we that voted them in will know that at least they are working.
For the first time, you have the opportunity to see the number of bills and motions being moved at the Green Chamber.
And I am happy and I can't wait to hold the first edition.
Oh wow, that's such an exciting news to finally get to hear their side of the story. I mean, we've heard reports in the media for so long and there's always been counter reports. So I think it's awesome that we get to hear from the horse's mouth what they're saying. So this is great news.
And I look forward to purchasing this publication and sending it to my people at home so they get closer to us here in the Green Chamber and know what we're doing here.
Incredible content, rich design. This is definitely changing the narrative.
The Green Chamber. Make sure you get a copy of this. You will not regret going through it.
Kudos, Mr. Speaker. Kudos, Mr. Chairman. Kudos, the Great Committee on Media and Public Affairs.
Make sure you get your copy now.
All right, thank you. You may want to put your hands together and make it better. It is definitely a new dawn for the National Assembly, for the House of Representatives, and would like to very specially appreciate the representatives, the House of Representatives led by the Honorable Speaker. Thank you so much, and the entire leadership of the House of Representatives. And now very quickly, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, would like to move on to some goodwill messages from some of our partners and friends that are in this place with us this morning. But please, before we get into the goodwill messages, the representatives of Max Air, you're here with us, would like to very quickly crave your indulgence to join us somewhere here very close. Would like to see you very, very quickly, please. Thank you. And now moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to the podium at this point representatives of United Bank for Africa. She is the Directorate Head, Abuja and North Central Bank, and she will be speaking on behalf of the UBA this morning, Usoro. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give her a round of applause as she steps forward? Thank you.
All protocols duly observed. So I'm here to represent my group managing director, Mr. Kennedy Uzoka, who is currently out of the country and couldn't make it today. So on behalf of the chairman, the board, and all staff of United Bank for Africa, our heartfelt congratulations goes to the publishers, the editors, and all the major stakeholders on the launch of this maiden magazine of the Green Chambers. As a financial institution, especially one with Pan-African reach, UBA prides itself in maintaining meaningful relationships and partnerships geared towards national growth and development. As you already know, United Bank for Africa represents diversity and richness of culture of Africa, operating in 20 African countries. Over the years, we've maintained very cordial working relationships with the National Assembly and all other arms of government, which we believe is key to boosting democracy and engineering development in a developing country like ours. In the same vein, our respect and support for the media is never in doubt. We see the media as a veritable tool to building strong economy, and media plays an important role in a developing society like ours. We are therefore pleased to associate and identify with you today on the launch of this magazine, which we believe will strengthen our national unity and legislative processes through the provision and dissemination of information in the two chambers. We wish to reaffirm our continued support to the NAS in providing seamless financial services through our tailor-made products, specially designed to meet the financial needs of the chambers, distinguished members, and all the staff of NAS. Please be assured of our high regards at all times, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Usoro, from representing the United Bank for Africa, UBA. Thank you so much. And now moving on this morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to also welcome, still for another goodwill message this morning, a representative of Max Air, Alhaji Shewada. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give him a round of applause as he comes forward very quickly? Thank you.
Your Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, DCFA, ably represented by Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, Your Excellency, distinguished Senator Amber Lawal, President of the Senate, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Femi Gbajami-Amila, the Speaker of House of Representatives, Mr. Chairman, my Governor, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Mosarazi. Ladies and gentlemen, Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I have been asked by Chairman of MAS here, Alhaji Dairu Manga, to represent him on this occasion. He would have loved to be here personally, but for some engagements that requires his urgent attention, he therefore asked me to show his happiness, delighted to be here this morning at this launch of Green Chambers magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of the ingredients of representative government, I believe, is the constant maintenance of communication between the governed and the representative. No matter how good the intention of any government is, it may not be better understood or appreciated by the subject if not communicated with them. This is undoubtedly a commendable feat, and we are glad to be part of this history. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Have a pleasant moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Goodwill messages done. Let me quickly please run through these recognitions because of time. We recognize you, Hadiza Usman Moazu, Special Advisor on Intergovernmental Relations to the Kaduna State Governor, representing Governor Nasir El-Rufai. We welcome you. The Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy is here represented by Malam El-Baf Mahadi, Director, Human Resource Management. We thank you for coming. From the Chinese Embassy, we have Your Excellency Du Sheng, Director, Political Section, representing